José Luis, buscando la carretera.
On this episode of Amor, Migrante, we want to take a moment to pause and talk about something that's been weighing heavily on many of us. Times are tough right now, especially for people in our immigrant communities. There's fear and a lot of what-ifs that can leave us feeling anxious and drained. That's why we have invited Andrea Luna, a licensed professional counselor from Clarity Counseling here in El Paso, to help us process some of those emotions and share ways we can care for ourselves and each other.
If we're heightened, if we're feeling all of this, and we don't really know where it comes from, it's not going to help us in the long term. We can put a Band-Aid on it, but that's really about it.
A lot of people in our immigrant community, people are scared, people are nervous. They're spending a lot of time thinking about the what ifs, right? Like worst case scenario. And
the more that we are connected with people that maybe think alike, that support what we support, the better we feel. So we kind of step away from that loneliness.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Amor Migrante. Today's episode is a really, really important one, I think. We want to take some time to acknowledge, create some space for people to recognize that things are really, really difficult for a lot of us right now. Just collective deep breath.
Exactly. Yes. What's going on?
And this is especially true for a lot of people in our immigrant community. People are scared. People are nervous. They're spending a lot of time thinking about the what ifs, right? Like worst case scenario. And a lot of that really takes a toll on us, takes a toll on families, takes a toll on us as friends, relatives, advocates. So today we've invited Andrea Luna.
Hi.
Thank you, Andrea.
Welcome.
She's a licensed professional counselor associate from Clarity Counseling here in El Paso, and you're going to help us work through some of that today.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Working through it ourselves, too.
All right. So welcome, Andrea, and thank you for being here with us at the Amor Migrante podcast. So I guess we can go ahead and dive right into the questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is, can you start by telling us a little bit about your background, your organization, the work that you do, how it's related to social justice, to marginalized groups, and just a little bit about it.
Oh, yeah. Right up my alley. Let me start a little bit with, I guess, how I got here. So I am a fronteriza, born and raised in El Paso, but I did live part of my childhood in Juarez. So, como dicen, de aquí, de allá, right?
Somos de aquí, somos de allá. There we go.
Exactly. And so I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, had to move here when I was about 8. And so really that transition into, English-speaking environment was really difficult. A lot of the struggles that I'm sure other members of our community can relate to. I attended UTEP. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2019. I have a bachelor's in organizational and corporate communication.
Very cool.
But at the end of that, I found a class in psychology that I loved. And so my heart really kind of took me that way. Shortly after, I got my first job as a caseworker, a mental health caseworker here in the community. And I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It really opens your eyes to what's going on in our community and I mean the world in general, I think. I learned to, advocate for families and clients that I was with, people navigating struggles like, Medicaid or just any government benefits or any connection to, again, the government and like how it helps sustain those individuals. Right. So I had to learn a lot about our community and connected them to resources. But it was an awesome experience. About 3 years in, I actually connected with some of the therapists in the office and I kept having this thought, like, I need to do more. Like, my job right now is really limited. And I hear these stories and the connections, I want to do more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I applied for my master's.
Very cool.
And I graduated in May. So just recently.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. During my master's is where I met my supervisor, Crystal Acosta, who is the owner and CEO of Clarity. She's been an amazing mentor. Shares very similar values. And now I work with her. Got my license in June, my associate license. So I'm working now to full licensure.
Nice,
My gosh, just taking all the steps to get there.
I know, right? It's like the song says, los caminos de la vida no son como los planeaba, right?
And ultimately, I think the goal, like just in starting my work in advocacy and like social services, I think it's always been about, I have this story similar to all these people. How can I show up and give like a little bit extra, right?
Yeah.
It's always important for us to consider where our privilege lies, and if we can give more, let's give more.
Let's give more. Yes, no, I totally agree with you. And actually, my story is kind of the same as yours. I grew up in Juarez and then came here. I worked at a bank for like 10 years, and now I'm here, creating content for Estrella del Paso, right?
Giving back to your community.
Exactly. And it was the same desire, like to always give more, and always you have that something telling you inside of you, like, like, hey, we can do more. There's another way to help the community. There's different ways, and that's how I apply it to El Paso, and I'm here too. So it's crazy,
absolutely.
how the life works and takes you to different paths and shows you what's not for you, so you can take you for like what's for you at the end, right? So it's crazy stuff.
For sure. And I think like as the time has kind of kept going on and I'm having more experience in this role. I've really learned that for me, I guess the center of like my style and my work is addressing those cultural,
oh my
obstacles.
gosh, so important.
Yes. And a lot of the work that I personally like doing is inner child work with my clients. And living in a Hispanic community, we're all carrying a little bit of something back there.
Right.
Yeah. And so, it's really awesome to get to share my knowledge with whoever's listening, really.
Yeah. In your experience working with the communities that you worked with as a caseworker and now, do you see that sometimes maybe people find it difficult to make the connection between how they're feeling in terms of their mental health or emotional health, like how they're feeling, making that connection to all of the things going on around us and the things that have gone on in our pasts or whatever? Like, do people is it difficult to make that
Absolutely. I think we're lucky to get clients in the office who will, right off the bat know what they want to work on. A lot of times we hear like the big symptoms coming in, and like I like to address with my clients, like, let's talk about the big symptoms. Let's help kind of sort them out, and then we can get to the deep work, right? Because if we're heightened, if we're feeling all of this, and we don't really know where it comes from, it's not going to help us in the long term. We can put a Band-Aid on it, but that's really about it. And there's just a lot of, a sense of dissonance that occurs, because it's like, okay, there's a lot of this going on. I'm not sure if I can make it, if I can externalize it or if it's internal, but I still got to keep going. Right. Especially in our community. We're just like resilient people, and we're like, a trabajar.
Yes.
And so, a lot of people have a really hard time connecting. We just know we're not feeling good, but, we don't know where to start. So a big key factor, and you'll hear me talk a lot about it today, is grounding and self-awareness.
Oh.
Yeah. When we start paying attention, then we can really, really, really be conscious about how we show up in the world and how we want to show up in the world.
Yeah, right. And I think that goes back to, like you said, like the way like the Hispanic community and any other communities are shaped is like, somos machos, we don't cry, we hold it up, and we don't show emotions in certain situations, and it's been something that has been passed generation by generation, that we forget that we have feelings, and it's okay for us to say things, it's okay for us to feel things, it's okay for us to cry, to feel sad, to feel happy, to feel angry, and I think we need to break that stigma of like, like, for a man, it's not okay to cry. For a woman, you're emotional, you need to cry, and go back to a position where we're humans, and at the end we'll have and feel the same emotions, right? And especially right now after the Dallas situation, the shootings where information has been limited, and I know like two immigrants died since then, and then another one was in the hospital, I believe. So when you see this happening, and you see the emotional response from the community, even though it's like miles away, right? It's Dallas, El Paso, it's different cultures, different, same state but different place, right? What can we do ourselves in those moments of intense emotions to help ourselves and to try to help others cope with this situation? What is it that you have seen?
Yeah, great question. Because I think first and foremost, I just want to personally, condemn these acts, because it's very unjust, and it hurts our people, right? And it's hard not to observe and feel targeted, right? Even if it's miles away. Right. So it's impacting directly the families affected, but also our community, because we can all turn around and say, whoa, what if that was me? What if that was my tia or my cousin, and we can relate. And so I think going back to that self-awareness and those grounding techniques, right, which I'll go over for y'all in a bit. Maybe this can help some people out there. But I always think back to one example, and it's going to sound a little bit silly, but I'm sure y'all been on a plane before. And so the flight attendant is giving their demonstration, and then they always say, put your mask on before you help others, right? Because we really can't do much, and we're over here like,
trying to grab oxygen.
And so I think that example also resonates with this situation, right? We want to make sure that we can be as regulated as possible before we turn around and we say, okay, let me show up for you. Right. Because if we don't, it's just kind of like emotional chaos, right? We're both feeling heightened. We're both feeling like we want to do something, and we might not be taking the appropriate action. So I want to talk about what those grounding techniques look like. Yes, perfect. I think one really good one that we can focus on when we're feeling heightened is a little bit of box breathing. So box breathing is we're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We're going to hold it for a count of 4. We're going to breathe out for a count of 4, and then we're going to start again. Okay?
Nice.
So that's a really quick technique that we can use. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're watching the news and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. Or you're doom scrolling on TikTok and you come across some stuff. Take a second and just, okay, let me ground myself, right? Now, sometimes breathing doesn't work, and I want to be realistic about that. Sometimes we can't stop and just take a breath, and it's okay. We also have, our body as a tool, and we want to use our 5 senses. We want to maybe name some things that we can see, 4 things that we can touch, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 we can taste. Oh. Yes. And so that'll put us back in present moment, right? Because if we're looking in our surroundings, we're not going to feel like our mind is taking us somewhere else. We're going to be planted firmly right here. Yeah. So once we're grounded then, right, that's when we can actually use our experiences and our logic to help us problem solve and take meaningful action, right? Yeah. So then now we're talking about maybe reaching out, talking to a neighbor, advocacy, organizing, all of those other really powerful actions.
Nice. I've seen a lot of content lately where people are talking about the importance of community right now. So when you said like reach out to a neighbor, let's talk to someone, I think that's important. I think we reach this point of isolation because everyone's so busy for different reasons, right? Like you have to go home, you have to eat dinner, and people have kids and jobs and everything, right? So you're stressed and people are busy. And I think that sometimes that falls by the wayside, the just spending time with other people, right? And I notice that whenever I come together with people, even if it's unplanned, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that's what I needed. Like that was good.
Exactly.
And there's cultural ties to that, right? Like we are strong as a community. We come from a collectivistic community. It is not in our blood necessarily to go and be isolated, right? We turn to each other, we provide support. And I really want to highlight, like, taking care of ourselves is not selfish. Right?
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah.
Drops the mic.
I know, literally, she's done, everyone.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, guys, like, taking care of ourselves is not selfish. And I feel like it's so important to say that or share that this morning because I know who we're speaking to. We're speaking to, others who share our stories. And I know it resonates with all of us in some way. Yep, when we're absolutely. Like, ooh, shoot. Okay, yes. I haven't learned that. So show up for yourself first, again, with the mask, right? Show up for yourself before you can turn to your peer and provide assistance.
Yeah, it's so true.
There's this idea of like self-sacrifice, right? Yes. And it's, I mean, we can talk about it, whether that's like on women or men for different reasons, right? Or children, these expectations that we have, like there's this idea that like you owe someone so much of yourself, and that's really hard to unlearn and to change that behavior. But I'm glad you said that because I feel like we're talking to a lot of you.
Yes, including us.
Including ourselves.
You're right in the box breathing and then the senses too, because it's crazy because once you go into a panic mode, that's it, like you get blocked and you cannot help others. So that's why it's important for you to be in a proper mental and physical state so you can help others and provide that assistance and be that hand that others need, because otherwise you're gonna get stuck with the others and like you said, if the airplane fails or something and then you can breathe and you cannot help others breathe, so it's a whole situation.
Absolutely.
So those are really good tips in that moment. But one of the things we also kind of approached you about is this: we have immigrant families, mixed status families, right, who are worried about certain members of their family, whether it's parents, grandparents being picked up, being detained, and so they're trying to figure out plans, right? Like childcare plans, financial plans, all of these things. And so that puts people in a very prolonged state of stress. That can't be healthy for anyone.
Not at all.
So do you have some tips to help people deal with that constant anxiety, that stress? Like how do we manage that as best as we can, right?
Yeah. And that's also a really important topic, because we can't really gaslight ourselves into saying like, oh, this is, just a negative thought. No, it's happening. Right? It's very real for a lot of us. And I really want to take some time to validate those feelings. The fear, the grief, the anger you're experiencing, it's absolutely valid. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to take that a step ahead and normalize it.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
It's completely normal for us to be experiencing that when we are witnessing so many injustices occurring, and just like we mentioned earlier, like that targeting, right? It's hard not to feel like that. So it's okay to feel like that. And I think we want to work on managing it without dismissing it. Right?
Okay.
So we sit with it, we recognize that it's there, and we practice maybe some small self-care rituals. And we could do it daily, perfect, right? Maybe it looks like taking a walk. Maybe it looks like you were mentioning, Sandra, so connecting with family, right? Maybe a phone call, maybe hanging out with a friend. Anything that will really help you be intentional with your time. Being intentional is going to be like top tier right now. Okay? Because it'll give us a sense of purpose, right? We feel like we're contributing, like we're doing something really powerful. And so connection, not isolation, right? As much as we can, we are connected, and we are a community that really, really, I guess, gathers some resilience from connection. So do that, integrate that to your daily habits.
No, and the same, right? Like the saying says, "El pueblo unido jamás será vencido."
That's a great statement.
The more that we are connected with people that maybe think alike, that support what we support, the better we feel. So we kind of step away from that loneliness that we feel like, it's the world against me, it's this situation, the government against me, is this against me. But if you take a step forward and then look to the side, you're going to see that you're not alone walking that same path. It's people next to you walking, and what a better way than connect with them. And maybe, like you said, like we have with Andrea, we connect and you give us tips on how we can manage that stress, we can manage that. And now we learned, and then we can pass it to others, and it becomes a reaction.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I want to touch up on two additional points. And the first one, so then it goes back to what you were mentioning in the question about preparation, right? And I think I want to, again, emphasize grounding and how important it is for us to ground ourselves so we can prepare. So if we are grounded, if we're able to access like that logical part of our brain, then we can move forward with action, right? So, for example, and I want to draw a little bit of like my casework experience here, but we can gather resources from the community. There's maybe immigration lawyers that we can reach out to, organizations like
we know some people who can help with your immigration.
Absolutely.
Law needs.
Come in here, right? But we cannot do that if we're feeling like our emotions are all over the place. There's going to be no what's it called, no horse blinders to kind of like get us there, right?
Yes.
And another one, and it's not just because I'm a therapist, but personal therapy. I know that at least personally, I've continued to work in therapy because some of these things are just really impactful. So if you can connect to resources in your community, be it Clarity, who provides also low cost services, or maybe other mental health agencies in the community. I think people forget that as mental health workers, we are also the first line of defense, right? Absolutely. We are here to support everybody who is out there fighting, or even if you're stuck in freeze mode, we are here to help you out too, And so reach out.
No, absolutely. Invite you all to reach out, to not be scared, to talk to others. And like I said, like we hear our moms and grandmas saying all the time, no, mijo, ya no nos hacen como antes. No. These tiempos, we will just suck it up, and we had to deal with it. Yeah, it was many, many years ago. Now times are different. Stress levels are double, triple from what they were before. Many other circumstances. And I mean, as an example, the shooting that happened in El Paso years ago, right? I mean, it happened years ago, and we'll still have that sense in the back of your mind that what if it happens again?
Right.
It's a constant living in stress. Traffic is worse. There's different factors that affect you.
Right.
So no nos hacen como antes is not applicable right now.
Grandma, mom, this is for you. Uh-huh.
Right, because times are not the same as they were before. So going back to one of the questions that we have and maybe tips, right? So people are feeling frustrated right now. They're angry, you know, they feel like that I guess like emptiness and something inside of them that tells them like we can do more. The same thing happens to us, and they want to get involved with advocacy. They want to get involved with like marches. They want to go ahead and support volunteer organizations. Do you have any tips for how we can deal with those triggers, like how we can help people or guide people to de-escalate and regulate those emotions and like kind of have them like take that extra step and now support the cause, but in a way that it's healthy for them, that it's healthy for the other side? Any tips that you can provide?
Oh, absolutely. I want to highlight anger is a natural response to triggers. Okay. Anger is completely normal. And actually, I always like to reframe it as a really powerful tool for change, right? Anger is motivating, right? When you feel angry, you're going to, or you're going to go and speak up. So the key here is to reframe anger. We don't want to see it as the bad guy, right? Anger can show up in different ways. If we work on anger, it could be passion, it could be power, it could be resilience, it could be commitment, right? Absolutely. It can look a bunch of different ways. And so again, if we are dysregulated, it equals overwhelm, right? So we want to regulate the anger, and how can we do it, right? What are the steps? And I have a few tips. The first one, I think, is we want to pause before we react, right?
Work so hard. You're filled with rage. You're like, but I said, oh, girl, chill.
Oh, heck yeah, it is. Yeah, we want to, you know, okay, what the heck did I just watch? All right, I'm going to take a second. Right? I'm going to maybe jump off TikTok for 2 seconds and process. All right, if I'm ready, I can go back. But if I'm not, it's okay to maybe the box breathing or the grounding, right? Now, the second thing is we want to name and validate the emotion. Oh, I am feeling angry because I saw this piece of news. Oh, you know what? I feel really sad about a recent event that just happened. Name it. Let's put a label on it so we know what we're working with, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Once we can recognize that, then it's like, okay, I'm feeling sad. Well, what do I do when I feel sad? Well, maybe I go talk to my friends, right? Or, oh, I'm feeling angry. How can I let this anger out? Well, maybe I can go to the gym, right? But when we're feeling it right off the bat, the first thought, because it's raw emotion, is going to be violence, aggression. I want to do something, right? So let's take a second. We can still do something, but maybe a little bit more productive or something that actually brings like meaningful action, right? Number 3, and I'm sorry, I'm like a broken record, but grounding, okay? Let's focus on regulating as much as we can. And I also want to mention that grounding looks a bunch of different ways too, right? I know we mentioned a couple here, but maybe you're a reader and you like to read. Maybe you like to go try new things in your community. Maybe you want to go, I don't know, to that new flauta place somewhere. Anything like that, right? Anything that just centers you as a person.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, channel that energy. Once we're able to be grounded and we find, you know, where our emotions lie and how we can use them, then that's when we channel it into energy. Like you mentioned, Christian, like advocacy or maybe organizing or maybe even sitting with your family members and coming up with a plan if something were to happen.
Right.
Gathering your documents, getting your resources together, all of that. Let's honor our feelings. We have been suppressed for generations and generations.
Many times.
Let's honor those feelings together as a family, right? We are feeling scared. We are feeling sad. What can we do?
Absolutely. And I think, like I mentioned before, you know, feelings are normal. Don't put in your mind something that is not true when it comes to like show off your feelings, you know, because like you said, that's going to be the spark for you to do something different, whether it's personal, whether it's like related to a cause that you support. If you keep those feelings suppressed, then it's like gonna keep building up, and then it's, by the time you want to react or do something, it's gonna be too many things happening.
Explosion.
Exactly. Absolutely. No.
I'm glad you said that about anger though, because I don't typically have a temper, but then once like something, I'm mad and I get to mad very quickly. I was like scroll. And so I really had to do some work to figure out why do you keep doing that?
What's going on?
What's happening? And I read a lot of stuff that was basically like, that's an easy go-to emotion because you're familiar with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar with, so it's probably something else, but it's coming out as anger instantly. Like, so that's important.
Yeah.
Like, let's identify the feeling because it might be something else, right?
Yes, and I always tell my clients, anger is a side effect and a symptom, not a diagnosis. So we usually, if we dig far enough, we can see maybe anger comes from anxiety. We don't know where our next step's going to be, so we feel angry. Or maybe it's, sadness. I'm so angry that I can't feel better, right? And so if we work with it again, we can reframe it and it helps us bring more clarity to the situation.
Yeah.
And anger is really good. Because we see people. It's really good. I'm over here like positive talking anger.
right. No, it's true.
But it does result in people demonstrating, right? Like, and that's part of the concern right now is that people are gathering and they're demonstrating. They're coming together to say like, hey, all of us collectively are mad about this, right? Like we're upset, we're frustrated, we want change. And that's good, right? Like we want to see you out there demonstrating and making sure your voice is heard in the signs. And we've helped organize marches too. And the idea though is the nonviolence is the key, right? Is that we're not going to get our message across any other way, right? Like we can, it has to be nonviolent. So I think that question about regulating, that's so important to stop in that moment to be like, yes, we're so excited, jump on board. We can tell you ways to get involved with us, with other organizations. Like there's a way for you to become an advocate in this community. Like let's turn that into something productive, but please don't beat anybody up.
Right. Please be mindful of others. Yeah. But like you said, it's the key is to channel that energy in a positive manner, right? Like you said, like maybe we're talking positively about anger, but it is true because anger can be shown in a different ways. And if we go violent and we shows the wrong path, I mean many things can happen that we don't want to happen, right? So it's always like you said, that pause, channel the energy, and then okay, what can I do? What can I do to help my community? What can I do to help my spouse because I'm upset? What can I do to help my family members? So always keep that in mind and try to stay positive in that sense.
As much as possible. Within reason of what's going on.
Yeah. I do have one thing that came up when you were talking about TikTok that came to mind is that we do consume so much content, right? Like news clips, the news, like TV, like ads, TikTok, right? And we think that we're just kind of like, I'm just going to scroll. Sometimes I'll scroll to help fall asleep, but then I'll feel my heartbeat beating faster because sometimes my algorithm will put me on these algorithm that I don't want to be a part of, and I'm mad, right? It's like 10 p.m. and I'm mad.
Like closing and opening TikTok to see if it changes, but it's
I'm like, I held that down and said, do not like this. Less fewer videos like this. Yeah. But I think that there's a balance sometimes where sometimes we feel guilty, right? Because there's a conversation about, is it a privilege of ours to be able to tune out what's happening around us? But also, how do we look out for ourselves? Like, how do we find that balance of being like, hey, I want to be involved. I want to be informed. I want to care about what's going on, but also I want to care about me and set a boundary. For making sure that I'm okay for this. Like, how do you navigate that?
I love talking about boundaries. Big advocate.
Nice.
I'll share a personal tidbit. I schedule my freakouts.
This is good.
Nice. So if I feel like I really need to tune into the news, I will give myself a timer or I will schedule it. Okay. And that helps kind of change the tone of things, right? Where it's more of a task and not of like a dependency behavior. Okay. So it's like, all right, at 5 p.m. for 10 minutes, I'm just going to really quick. And it helps because for those 10 minutes, you get to feel all those things, right?
Right.
And it really, again, it helps with that sense of dissonance where it's like, okay, well, can I feel this or should I just keep pushing forward? Well, for 10 minutes, you can stop and just feel.
Okay,
and then if you want to continue with your day, go ahead. But definitely. And I think it's important to not to just say like, well, get off social media completely or like, grandma, don't watch the news. Like, we're not going to do that realistically, right? But if we can limit, right? If we can set a time boundary and decide how much time we're willing to give to it, then that changes things.
Makes sense now because it becomes more like a duty, like you work, you clock in, you clock out.
And
That's it. That's all I'm gonna. That's all my effort I'm gonna give you for today.
Exactly.
And that's it. That's
perfectly said. That's all the effort I'm gonna give it for today. You get my attention for 10 minutes, and that's it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I guess we're getting close to wrapping up the episode. Anything that you want to add, Andrea? Anything that we missed? Anything that you want to mention, point out before we wrap up this episode?
I think something that came to mind just briefly was talking about creativity, right? Channeling. We talked about advocacy. We talked about organizing, talking to other people around you, but creating. Artists are also made through tough times, right?
Yeah.
Using that opportunity to create some art, whether it's music, whether it's painting or any other means, right? And that really kind of is a good segue into something I was going to share as a final thought. And that's that we're here for you, right? And not just only clarity, but mental health professionals. We are here for you. That's what we dedicate our life to, right? To show up for our community. And recently, within our company, we've decided to provide low cost or free sessions with an intern, and she is also an art therapist.
That's amazing.
That's great.
So I can definitely share some resources with y'all. Anybody that's interested.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And it's so true. El Paso has a lot of amazing artists, Cristina Podaca, Patrick Abaldon, and we can name a bunch of them. But that's so true, like you said, like grounding, it could be attending an art event, it could be attending a gallery, it could be different things. So it's gonna help you to disconnect from that emotion that you have stuck inside of you and maybe see it in another way. So
I'm checking out a ceramics place over the there you
go.
Management.
Nah.
I'm not a creative person, so it's gonna be
Somewhere near you too. I think there's like embroidery.
Yes. It's downtown Elizabeth Pineda. She's Cucinama 5. Yes. No, she is amazing. Cucinama 5, yes.
Connecting to, hobbies that also kind of marked by our culture, right? Embroidery. Las señoras que se ponían a hacer antes.
You never know when art
never know.
Come out. Exactly. So I guess we want to thank you, Andrea, for being part of our episode today. And thank you for all the tips, all the information. Thank you for reminding us that feeling emotions, it's okay. But also it's okay for us to be, I guess, like centralized on the steps that we take after that emotion for better well-being and for our mental health. It's also okay for you guys to talk to someone. It's also okay for you guys to seek for professional help. They're here for us and, to help us, not to help themselves. So it's okay. Yeah, right.
Amongst ourselves, we talk to and support each other.
We connect and that, right? But once again, it's okay. Times are different. Like what happened back in the day is not the same what happens now. So don't shy away. And we invite you all to check Clarity, to check Andrea's at the office. If you guys have questions, if you guys need help with something, there are resources in our community, whether it's immigration, whether it's mental health, whether it's other things that you might need. So look up for those resources. Sandra, anything that you want to add before?
No, that's all of it. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go back and watch this recording and take a bunch of notes. We have Post-its all over.
Feel free to reach out for anything else.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
This is the Amor Migrante podcast, Love for the Migrant, a project of Estrella del Paso, the largest provider of free immigration legal services in West Texas and Southern New Mexico. This podcast is coming to you from El Paso, Texas, hosted by Sandra Ramirez and Cristian Trujillo. Please subscribe to the Amor Migrante podcast to be alerted about new episodes and visit www.estrelladelpaso.org to support our work on the southern border.